with my co-host, Dr. Sinead Davis. Welcome back.
Hey, all right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this second hour.
It is, and you all, it's as we still continue to navigate with the way we are able to connect with one another. Please feel free to join our radio listening audience live today from In Touch News. Just click on the live button now. You can also join us on In Touch News YouTube channel. I'm on my Facebook Live. Dr. Davis, are you live or we're live together?
We're live together. Yeah, when I would put my Facebook Live up, it sort of conflicted. So I have enough issues with the technicalities. So I just rebroadcast and just put up the link from the show.
Well, we got you covered three different ways. So be sure to tune in. If you are listening in with us and you're taking your lunch break with us, thank you so much. We appreciate you spending time with us as we work diligently to bring you such powerhouses, individuals with information. They're at the top of the game in their craft, in their profession. And we are so fortunate today to have two such phenomenal women in the house today. Last month, we were celebrating Women's History Month. And Dr. Davis, I was at an event, actually was part of a committee where we got to honor one of our co-hosts, and she's alive today on the show. So let me just give a quick shout out to Isa Antonio Thomas. Congratulations.
And thank you for having me today.
We will, you're welcome. We will share a little more about you with our radio listening audience, but let Dr. Davis, it's National Minority Health Awareness Month.
Indeed, it is. So thank again everyone for joining us today. April is Minority Health Awareness Month, and oftentimes as minorities, we have a reactive approach to healthcare. And let's talk business with SJC. For the past 3 years, we've done our part to increase awareness of conditions that affect minorities at disproportionate rates. And this April, we're just going to celebrate that. Given that we take that approach every month, I'm letting you know a little bit about something that impacts minorities, everyone, of course, but again, minorities at disproportionate rates. Last month, we highlighted colon cancer awareness. Not month before,
Yes.
we highlighted cardiovascular health awareness. This month, we wanted to do something a bit more broad because we don't just exist in a silo of heart disease or our diabetes or with our colon cancer or cancer screening awareness. We are whole people, and our lives and the events that go on in our lives affect our health risk. And I thought it very important to talk about social determinants of health just a little bit in this scope of Minority Health Awareness Month. In 2020, the Healthy People 2000 initiative highlighted five key areas: economic stability, education, health and health care, neighborhood and the built environment, and also the social and community context, all as important determinants of health. And that's the reason that we thought to bring these powerhouse women on today. Isa Antonio Thomas, and also later on for the second half, Dr. Monica Ryder, because income and housing insecurity, where your home is, thinking about, will you have an address for your mail to come to, thinking if I'm going to pay rent or pay for my medicine, all of those things impact us holistically. And that stress is often expressed somatically in terms of higher risk for these conditions that we highlight every month. So without further ado, let's get to an introduction of our amazing first guest, Miss in my soror, Isa Antonio Thomas. She was highlighted by Cheryl, as mentioned earlier. Cheryl, tell us what you have for an amazing intro for Miss.
Well, you know what, and what's so exciting about this, and you were talking about this, and we were kicking the idea around before the show about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when you
Mhm.
talk about the home environment, the neighborhood, the ability to be able to sleep, and there's so many sleep studies being done today as a result of us kind of coming out of the pandemic. And it's such a great and a pivotal moment to have Ms. Thomas on the show today to talk to us just about that home ownership. And I know many people have heard the name. My office was over in a complex where her office was for many years. but the name that you all know, she's the executive director, CEO of Salita's House. And she'll tell us a little bit about how the name Salita came about. But it's a nonprofit in the Tampa Bay area, helps low and moderate income individuals, let's put an exclamation point here, buy or retain their homes by providing home buyer education, credit counseling, financial literacy, foreclosure intervention, default canceling, and home retention programs. And that's going to play a pivotal role today in where we are in the housing market, and specifically rent. I spoke to two family members, Dr. Davis, whose rent went up, one $300 a month, the other one $25 a month, but the other one $1,000 a month. This is rent.
Yeah.
These are rental units. So we're looking forward to hearing what she has to say and why we selected her. 26 years in this business of providing social services to our community. She brings extensive experience in community projects, including census building, encouraging community participation, and identifying, while at the same time cultivating relationships with key stakeholders. She's a graduate from Go Bulls, University of South Florida. She is married. She has a 24-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter. That makes you all empty nesters.
Yes.
And we could go on and on about the accolades that have been heaped upon her, some of just the special and pivotal recognitions that she has received just from our Tampa Bay community. And that's the Lightning Hero Awards. And that's fantastic because that's something that you were given and you got to turn around and then support so many others as a result of that. But there's so many more. If you want to learn more about who she is and what she's all about and how she and her husband partnered together to create Salita's House, we will put all of her information, her website and contact information in our thank you post. But on behalf of Dr. Davis and myself, Mrs. Alza Antonio Thomas, welcome to Let's Talk Business.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am ready to talk business.
Well, you know, our tagline for the show is catch the show that will be all up in your medical business. And today, in order for us to have a home and a good place to sleep and a bed to sleep in and that whole security need, we're coming to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Dr. Davis?
Absolutely. How you doing, Isa?
I am good, Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear about Salita's House. I'm going to dig into, once you give us some scope, I know that there is a lot that you do, not just to direct individuals and families towards home ownership, but to prepare them to keep that home, about
yes,
that home. Tell us about your program and how persons in need can get involved.
Absolutely. So you sign up on our website or you can come to our office, and we just recently moved. So we're actually sharing space with the CDC of Tampa on Hillsborough Avenue. So when we talk about partnerships and collaborations, that's what it's all about. But our services are absolutely free to the community. It does not matter what your income level is. It doesn't matter if you're a single parent, married couple with kids. We have the information and the resources available for everybody. Now, there are certain different programs that we do that require different eligibility requirements, but for the most part, to get educated and empowered about those resources that are here in the Tampa Bay area, when it comes to housing and housing stability, we are the place to come to. And then we can at least direct you to those additional resources that you may qualify for.
Ooh, Dr. Davis, it sounds like they are the poster child for meeting your housing needs. And before you delve too much in there, please tell us where the name Salita's House came from.
So my grandmother back in Panama, her name was Salita. And I will tell you, she was like the Medea. My grandmother to me knew everything. She knew the entire neighborhood knew her. But if you got cut, she knew how to cure that. If you were sick, she knew how to cure that. I don't care what it was, my grandmother had the answer to everything. And nobody was a stranger to my grandmother. So I remember, just everybody always coming, and my grandmother opening up her home and just pouring the love. We may not have had all the money in the world, but my grandmother showed me the importance of loving on people and loving unconditionally and accepting people where they're at. And that whole community vibe. So to pay homage to her, I named the agency Solita.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
So
All right, Doc.
I want to focus on that, just what you said, that sense of community, what comes with home ownership there. In our homework, in using Salia's house and all of its success, I noticed that Humana is one of your partners. Can you tell us how that came about, why that came about, and what goes on with that partnership that lifts your recipients, the people that engage Salia's house for home ownership assistance?
Absolutely. So we realized, and it was actually one of our board of directors who opened up the opportunity to partner with Humana. And although you think, okay, well, Humana is just health, Humana has a series of social workers and workers that actually have their clients or patients connect to other social service agencies. So it's not just necessarily always all about health. And so what we did is we came in and we did a presentation to them as to what we offer. And so now we have a partnership where their employees will refer their clients to us when they're in need of, whether it's housing situation, credit, finances, any of the things that we can provide. So it's a referral service that they send to us, the client, then we help them. And again, Dr. Davis, to your point, health is all of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Your greatest
if you're
growth.
not healthy, you can't work to earn a living. If you're not healthy, you can't be, the best parent for your kids or run your household. If you don't have a place to live, to lay your head, the stress that puts on somebody. And I see it now even more. And so for us, it was very important that this partnership with Humana worked. Humana also provided some funding for us to be able to do some housewarming baskets for our new homeowners. So as we get new homeowners, we're able to provide baskets of just, maybe it's like cleaning supplies or maybe that shower curtain, those essential things that you need when you're just moving in that you tend to forget about. But Humana understands the importance of not just, paying attention to somebody's health, but also their wealth, and where they live and their housing stability.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Absolutely. So the consequences of not having a home or the insecurity of surrounding the absence of an address on your own certainly does affect the health. But another important component that Salita's house adds is that education piece. Tell us about the education programs that Salita House provides its program participants. And is it just finance? How do you add that component of health, like in terms of getting food, managing a household? Tell us about those programs.
Absolutely. So we do homebuyer education classes for those individuals that are interested in purchasing either their first home or their second home or their third home. And then we do financial literacy classes. Our financial literacy classes have changed a little bit because of the market that we're in, and rents are increasing so much. So it's very important for me to educate my renters on the tenant and landlord rules and regulations in the city in Florida or in Tampa. How to protect themselves, where to go when you think that you've been discriminated for a housing cause, or if you live in a hotel and that is your only address, they have to evict you using the regular landlord eviction laws. They can't just change the key or the lock. And so a lot of my participants don't understand that. So it's important in my financial literacy classes that we talk about how do you become a really strong renter? And then we don't want to rent forever. So
Yeah.
even if you're renting for 12 months, just don't rent. Let's work on becoming a homeowner, because after 12 months, you do risk that rent going up again. And so being a homeowner, it stabilizes your housing, right? And there's so much more benefits to being a homeowner. And now there's so many additional resources. We've been able to provide over $100,000 of down payment assistance for some of our participants purchasing a brand new house. And that speaks volumes when their rent was $1,700 and now their mortgage payment is less than $1,000 a month.
Wow.
So education, yeah. So our educational classes is really the first step to getting services from Solitas House. So we're going to ask for you to take either a homebuyer education class if you're interested in the path to homeownership, or if you're having issues with rent, you're needing a rental security deposit or a utility deposit, we can assist with that. And your first step is to take our financial literacy class. I think another thing is just those soft skills and teaching clients how to present themselves when they're going to rent an apartment. You know, what questions to ask up front, what is right and what is wrong, and just empowering themselves. What's on your credit report already? How do you dispute those things so that when you do apply for an apartment complex, you already know what's on your credit report? How do you address that? How do you negotiate with the landlord or the property management company so that you get a yes and not a no?
You just shared with me something that just blew me away. I had no idea about the strong renter concept that Solitas House does also provide. So getting into these education classes is not just something for, I mean, not everyone is at a stage ready for home ownership. So if you are renting, renters education and renters security, this is essentially residential security that can be provided to people not necessarily ready for home ownership. If this is ready or a ready resource for anyone in our community, how is it that they can contact you just for that program? Is that something that you advertise also?
Absolutely. They can always go to our website at www.solitashouse.org, and then you will register for our financial capability workshop. And that workshop is where we discuss credit and budget, but then we also discuss how do you become the best potential renter for any landlord or property management company. Because in Tampa, I will tell you, for every 1,000 families that are looking for an affordable apartment, there's only one that's available. So that means that you have to put the best of the best foot forward.
Wow.
So we have to address what's on your credit. You know, if you had a past eviction, I've had clients where they've had past evictions due to COVID, and we've been able to negotiate with landlords in order to pay that off so that it shows as paid, so that when you apply for a new apartment, the apartment complex isn't denying you because you have this open eviction. It's really about educating. It's really about doing the work ahead of time so that when you go to these apartment complexes, that you're not getting the no. It's sad because right now what's happening is landlords are often waiting until maybe 30 days before the lease expires or 2 months before the lease expires to say either I'm increasing the rent or I'm not renewing. And so now you have tenants that have 2 months to find something. And you're not going to find something in 2 months if you have an eviction, if you have a criminal background, if you have outstanding collections. You're not going to find something in 2 months. And so what we're finding is lots of families now are either living with family members or they're living in their cars. I'm going to tell you that it breaks my heart. I have a client that she works 40 hours a week, She works. She's got 3 little girls. She was in an apartment. The apartment increased the rent. She couldn't afford it. She spent 2 months trying to find something. She couldn't find something. She ended up living with family for a little bit, and she ended up living in her car. And to avoid having to tell her girls that they were homeless, she drove Uber all night long and let the girls either sleep in the front or sleep in the back. She did Uber Eats, not Uber Eats. And that was their job, so that she wouldn't have to tell her daughters that they were homeless. And this particular client of mine finally found a house. She found an apartment. The apartment, unfortunately, was located in Hillsborough County, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. It's located in Hillsborough County, so the funds that I have are only for City of Tampa, are only for an apartment that's in the City of Tampa limits. And this apartment was in the Hillsborough County limits. Listen, she needed $1,078. That's it. She paid part of her security deposit. All she needed was $1,078 to get her in a unit. She could pay the rent. Listen, come hell or high water, I figured it out, and we paid. Because there was absolutely no way that I was going to allow this lady and her 3 babies to continue living in that house. And I'm in that car, and I'm going to tell you that she now is seeing a social worker. The kids are seeing a social worker, because that mental health is so important. And when you shift and now you become homeless, that's a whole different type of understanding. A whole different type of survival that some of us don't understand. So yes, home ownership, housing, and health, it goes together.
Let me just share with that. Before we introduced you, Cheryl mentioned how this idea to bring you on for Minority Health Awareness Month came to be. We were thinking about Maslow's hierarchy. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the very base are, safety and security and those physical needs for shelter. And without those things, it's very difficult to focus on, if I've had my immunizations, or if I have, an appointment to go get my physical next week. Basic human needs are very important to have met. And when they're not met, the consequences of the unmet needs are extraordinary stress, which increases your risk for inflammation, decreased sleep, increase, your risk for hypertension, obesity. It limits your food choice and access to care altogether. So that's why we brought you on board. And the condition that you just so eloquently elucidated is just case in point, just a classic case study as to why we brought you on today. We got to do more to tie these things together. Just existing housing and insecurity and health and how it affects us. And again, it's the reason why, one of the reasons why African Americans experience such disparity. We do experience poverty at a higher rate than the majority population, and educating our community on the connection and the resources available is definitely a way forward in mitigating these issues. I want to do more. With your organization or with partnering organizations to at least provide that health education piece. So definitely consider me a resource. Cheryl, how can Let's Talk Business assist Salita's House in getting the word out of these services, particularly the renters education, and how that can give a renter that can't afford a home right now a little bit more security and stability that they can stay where they are.
Well, Dr. Davis, this is what we're going to have to do. Have her come back on for a full show. As a matter of fact, if it's not this month, it's next month, where it's awareness for home ownership.
June.
Oh, it's in June. Okay, we're going to mark our calendars, because there's so much that you have to offer. Like, I really wanted you to talk about your rental assistance program. I wanted to hear how long the courses are, but more importantly, and to Dr. Davis's point, can other individuals like the two of us go through a program just to see what it's like, and that will help us to be more of an advocate for your program, and then help to collaborate. We want to know about who are some of the other partners that you all are working with, so that together, collectively, we can all be a part of this security, safety, homeownership / rental collaboration.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We do.
All right, and we're going to put you down for June in the couple of minutes that we have left, because you have a wealth of information. What would your final thoughts be to our radio listening audience? Those that need help, and the family members of those that you know need help.
Do not be afraid to ask. Do not be afraid to ask. Call, email us, come by 1907 East Hillsborough Avenue. I'm usually here all day and all night. We work on Saturdays if I have to. If I have to come in here on a Sunday, I'll come in here on a Sunday. But it's really about asking, and then being educated and empowering. Finding those people that want to help you. Because the help is out there. The resources are out there. We just got to connect.
That's a whole series right there. Let's see, 1 minute, Dr. Davis, and then we're going to break for a commercial. But let me just say thank you so much. It was great seeing you again, even though this time it's virtually. I understand why you were one of the award recipients. You are so passionate about what you do. Thank you. Thank you, Isa.
No
Dr.
problem.
Davis?
Always.
So, Isa Antonio Thomas, you are just the face of fortitude. I want to congratulate you on all your most recent accolades. When you said first, second, and third time owners are also candidates for Salida's House, I actually have some referrals that I can make to you, but I'll finish with this before we go off to the commercial break. I watched a video of you when you were nominated for Tampa Businesswoman of the Year. And they asked, what is your driving force? And your answer was confidence that nothing stops you. And I just want to applaud this effort and let you know that I am so on your team, and I'm glad I learned more about Salida's House and preparing you for this show. I'm going to be making referrals.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
You are more than welcome. And what's your tagline to your email? It says it all too, Dr. Davis. Come on, Isa. She said, no, it's hers.
It is my tagline. It's the one about the stairs.
No. Don't accept what?
Oh, never accept average.
See?
Never accept average.
Never accept
average. Love it. Listen, we're going to take this opportunity to say thank you to our sponsor and one of our partners, the Moffitt Cancer Center, and we're going to hear more about their program on our commercial. But here's my virtual hug to you. Thank you so much. And when we come back after the hour, we're going to hear from Dr. Monica R. Ryder. So back in a moment. Thank you.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Strong, beautiful women take charge of their lives, and it starts with learning the facts. Did you know that most women diagnosed with breast cancer have no known risk factors or family history, and it's more deadly for Black women than any other race or ethnic group? But it doesn't have to be. If you're over 40, regardless of your race or ethnicity, you need to get a mammogram every year. Early detection saves lives. Talk with your doctor about the best screening plan for a strong, beautiful you.
Champions don't quit, but there's one kind of quitter I admire: former smokers. If you're over 55 and still smoking, or even if you quit years ago, talk with your doctor about lung cancer screening, even if you have no symptoms. It's quick and painless. Lung cancer is the nation's most deadly cancer, but screening can better the odds. Ask your doctor if it's right for you.
We are back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Let's Talk Business with SJC, the second hour of our show with my co-host, Dr. Davis. Catch the show that will be all up in your medical business. We just had a phenomenal guest on that was talking to us about the importance of meeting all of our needs, especially when it comes to our mental health, our security, the fact that did she not have the best information about homeowners programs, rental assistance programs, and just hearing about her grandmother, Salita. Dr. Davis?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I knew about the homeowners assistance program. I just did not know about the rental information and the empowerment that can be gleaned from program participation. So I learned something. I actually have some friends with professional jobs that are also getting notices that, where their rent's going up, not just by like $50 or $100, by like $500, $700. Tampa's the number 3 place in the nation experiencing this increase in rent, and it's pricing out that are that thought they're pretty comfortable financially. So that's great information, and to know that it's also available to renters as well as second-time and third-time home buyers.
Yes, absolutely. And all the more reason
in our community with that information.
Dr. Davis, can you just turn your volume up just a little bit? I want to make sure we hear, our audience hears everything that you have to say, especially now as we begin to pivot to the medical aspect of it. Dr. Ryder, I don't know if you got a chance to hear portions of the program, but you can now understand how that affects your everyday patient coming in to your office. But we'll get to that in a minute. A special thank you to our sponsor, Moffitt Cancer Center. We have a partnership and a collaboration with them. They too understand the importance of partnering with us so that we can use this platform in order to be able to disseminate our information, real information that will help us live better lives. So we're going to pivot now to the medical aspect of our program. Welcome to the show, Dr. Monica R. Ryder.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
You are more than welcome. We're just going to dive in because we have to maximize every minute that we have here. So to our radio listening audience, who is she? And Dr. Davis, I knew her name. I have written her name. And I was like, but I, not on a personal level, but why do I know this name? And it's because she was the medical director of one of the centers that I participate. I was like, oh, that's where it was. She's a family medicine physician whose rural upbringing in Arkansas and Alabama led to a desire to provide care to those in underserved communities. I can just stop right there because both you and our guest, Isa Antonio Thomas, pretty much said the same thing. And what a blessing to be in a position where you recognize what it is that you need to do and how you need to give back to your community. After obtaining her Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Xavier University of Louisiana, a Master's in Public Health from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and a medical degree from Nova Southern University College of Osteopathic Medicine, she knew that she had the necessary tools to help her community. There's no time like the present. Her current role as VP and Chief of Medicine at the largest community healthcare in the state provides her the opportunity to provide health and wellness to those in need. We just finished, Dr. Ryder, talking about health now is your greatest wealth.
Yes.
And what in the world? Welcome to the show. What would you add to that?
Well, first of all, thank you for that amazing intro. Can I just take you with me everywhere we go so that you can just be my cheerleader and intro me when I walk into the market? My goodness, that was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's too much. But to your point, one of your sorors, State Representative Senator Athenia Joyner, I had the pleasure of introducing her for National Women's History Month, and she just said, stop right now. I don't want to go any further until I can hire Cheryl to go with me everywhere I go.
It is
Thank
true.
you. God bless you. But we need to hear more about what you're doing and how, as a community, we can all collaborate together. Dr. Davis?
Indeed. Welcome, and thank you so much, Soror, Dr. Monica Ryder, for all that you do for, public health and increasing public access to community health. I want you to tell us about these federal qualified community health clinics. What are they? I know you've been here in Tampa. You are now in the Bradenton area. Why are federally qualified health centers important, and what is their utility in reducing disparities?
Okay, so federally qualified health centers have been around for decades. People just don't recognize that label. So a federally qualified health center, we are community-based healthcare providers that receive funds from the Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, HRSA as we like to call it, to provide primary care services in underserved areas. Now, underserved, people only think about the urban community, but it's also the rural communities of the world. Again, me growing up in Arkansas with a grandma that would have to travel almost 2 hours just to see her endocrinologist to manage her diabetes. Federally qualified health centers, because of the funding that we can receive from HRSA, we have strict requirements, yes, when it comes to providing certain resources for free or at discounted prices, but we are able to provide care on a sliding fee scale based on ability to pay, operating under governing board that includes patients. So it's not just a CEO running this company. There are patients that are a part of the decision making from HRSA to make sure that we are providing optimal quality care to the community in which they live. We stretch from, again, urban to rural, migrant health services, healthcare services for the homeless, residents of public housing, which is why I was so excited that that was included in the call today, because we actually do partner a lot with public housing in multiple counties, including Hillsborough County.
Awesome. So low access to care perpetuates disparity. As a part of these programs, I know that there are certain benchmark measures that you have to laser in on, zone in on with laser focus to participate in these federally qualified community health clinics, like the diabetes, like hypertension, like obesity, making sure that certain benchmarks are met. If I am someone that doesn't have insurance and I have high blood pressure and no medication, tell us the process that someone may access a federally qualified community health clinic, and what can they expect to have their disease state managed once they get there?
Okay, so to your point, we are held to an extremely high standard when it comes to providing quality services. So, and I do pride myself on that, and that, yes, the insurance companies do have mandates for certain quality measures. And then there's the Healthy People 2010, 2020, 2030, and there are certain standards. HRSA holds us to an even higher standard because they know that we are often treating those patients who have ignored whatever condition because they have not had the funds, they have not had the insurance. So we are held at a high standard for management of diabetes, management of high blood pressure, getting patients access to care when they have been when they've tested positive for HIV, prenatal care, gynecological exams. The list goes on and on and on. And we are beholden to this report every single year to make sure that we are utilizing those funds to provide quality care. So if you are a patient who, for whatever reason, whatever financial burden you might have, are unable to pay for services in what we would consider the quote unquote commercial world, or you don't have insurance, you just show up. We provide care regardless of ability to pay. We will not and cannot turn anyone away regardless of ability to pay. So you show up and you let us know, you know what, hey, I do have this medical condition. I used to be on medication, or I think I need to be on medication, whatever the case might be. We, in that moment, of course, find the primary care provider that would suit you best for your needs on that day. But before you leave, you are going to be connected with what we here at our site call a financial counselor. Every FQHC might call it something different, but it's a financial counselor. And they're going to assess your financial needs. What is your current state? Do you have any sources of income that you could utilize to assist with paying for visits or medications or what have you? And if not, let's help you get that Medicaid. Let's help you get Medicare. Let's help you sign up onto, the Affordable Care Act. Let's help you get some insurance. And if you can't, what resources are available in the community to help you pay? So here in Manatee County, we do have something called Good County. In Hillsborough County, you have the Hillsborough County Health Care Plan. So FQHC's affair in Hillsborough County assists with connecting patients with that resource to help them pay for their services, their medications, what have you. But again, at the end of the day, we're going to see you. We'll deal with the financial later. We are going to see you. So, apologize, my phone rang. So we get the patient in, and it is our goal at our organization and at almost every FQHC that I have ever been affiliated with. We're going to treat you from head to toe. You may have come in with a complaint of diabetes or high blood pressure, and we're saying, okay, we're going to address that and then some. We're going to make sure that you've had your colorectal cancer screening. We're going to make sure you've had your breast cancer screening, all the preventative measures. It is just a mandate. We treat the patient, not the symptom. And that's another thing that I love about FQHCs. Again, we don't have FQHC, almost all of us, we don't have it just labeled on our building. We're primary care. We are a primary care organization. And in this Tri-County area, there are at least 4 major federally qualified healthcare centers. And again, the one where I work, MCR Health, we are the largest in the state. There is the second largest in Hillsborough County, and the kind of numbers trickle down, but there's one in Pinellas, and then one, of course, in what we call East Hillsborough County. We have centers all over the Tri-County area. There is just no excuse. We are everywhere, but we don't have FQHC just kind of slapped on the front of our building.
That's wonderful. And I think that's an excellent point. No, we don't have FQHC slapped on the building, but not everybody knows. Here in Hillsborough, and there is Tampa Family Health Centers. Not everyone knows that you provide free to sliding scale or even fully insured care, that this is a space that you can receive comprehensive preventative health care. People still feel that you need door. What
Dr. Davis, I don't know if you know it, but you're coming in and out just a bit, so we don't want to lose the point of your question. Let's see if she's back.
Doing
No, she's not going to be able to hear it. So one of the things we wanted to talk to you about, Dr. Ryder, you heard us in our interview with Alyssa Thomas and tying that whole housing component and how that affects the person's well-being and security. You talked about partnership. You talking about treating the patient. You have a financial counselor that's a part of all of that. And your facility is somewhat kind of new to me. But that being said, because you say it's not plastered all over your buildings, so I probably saw it and just thought it was another, private kind of practice, a number of private centers. But when we were talking about housing, and you all have a lot of partnerships with other entities out there, is that handled from the financial counselor standpoint, or how do you kind of bridge that in to make sure that you're taking care of the holistic patient?
So, and I think that's a misnomer or an understanding of all FQHCs. We're actually private organizations. We just happen to receive some federal funding to assist with services that we provide. But we're all private entities. We are run by our own board. We are a not-for-profit organization, so we are private, and we take commercial, Medicaid, Medicare, and uninsured. Now, to care connect those patients, of course, all of us are very concerned about those social determinants of health. And I know that's been like a buzzword, a term that's kind of lighting up. but it's something we've done all day, every day for decades, especially, my company, we've been around for over 40 years. It's been a part of it's ingrained. It's just what we do, because we understand I can't get you your medications if you're worried about where your next meal is going to come from, right?
Absolutely.
So we have those financial counselors that assist with, getting you getting what insurance you need, but we also have community service workers that work with Healthy Start. They work with the food banks. We have relationships with the local housing departments here, at least in Manatee County. I know Tampa Family Health Centers had a similar relationship. We have to have that integration. And so it's so embedded in everything that we do. A lot of us meet monthly to make sure that we are taking care of the most vulnerable patients. So even again, Healthy Start is a perfect example. Just had a phone call with them a couple of days ago to make sure that we're getting those, those pregnant mommies in and making sure the kids are care connected. Are they getting their Infamil? Do we have enough samples here for those moms that can't afford to get the formulas in the grocery store? So we are deeply embedded in the community, because if we can't get those SDOHs taken care of, they're not going to listen to me or get, pay the money to get a mammogram done. They're going to make sure they have food on the table for their child.
Awesome. And you've got to be able to recognize the problem before you can come up with a solution for the problem. I heard you mention Healthy Start, and I'm so glad you did, because one of our partners for the show is Reach Up Inc.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Lo Berry, who serves in a pivotal leadership role with Healthy Start, will be Reach Up is celebrating their 20th anniversary, and it started with Healthy Start as well. And so I'm so glad you brought that up. So shout out to, and there's 3 of them, Lo Berry, Dr. Deborah Austin, and Vanessa Rowland Miskit. And matter of fact, we'll be there representing them. They're one of the sponsors of our show.
That's
so wonderful. Yay for a Healthy Start. And
yay, we love Healthy Start. Yeah.
So glad you all are working together, and to see us Black and brown women coming together, collaborating and doing things together to support each other and the organizations. And we can share that passion in our communities. Let me check in with Dr. Davis. I can kind of see you. Are you back with us?
I'm back on. And it's good that you guys just have this great telepathy, because when I clicked back in, you were already answering about the strategic partnerships to make sure that we seamlessly, mitigate those determinants.
Absolutely.
Where they are connected to health, in terms of reducing our disparity and that tough decision making and paying rent and buying food versus buying medicine. So Dr. Ryder, with the social services there and available with the federal qualified community health clinics, what about transportation to make it all happen? It seems like that you get all the social services together. Tell us about any transportation issues. How do we mitigate that?
That is a good question. And in my short time out in this world and in this community, in a little over 10 years, it's starting to become more apparent that yes, I can have all the connections in the world, but if I can't get the patient from A to B, it's for nothing, right? So believe it or not, companies like Uber and Lyft have answered the call. So there are programs like Lyft Health and Uber Health that you have to, make the collaborations, yes, and there are, of course, certain financial, limitations, and there are requirements that you have to meet to be able to get the vouchers necessary to go from point A to point B. That's a wonderful thing about our financial counselors and our community workers. They know those resources out in the community that can assist us with getting that transportation. So I can remember from Hillsborough County Healthcare Plan and the Hardline, and there are other connections there. They will actually assist patients who have some financial constraints, or if they have Medicaid and Medicare, you actually do qualify for vouchers for the buses. If you have to get from your home to a physician, you do need to call 48 hours in advance, and you can schedule bus transportation, to and from your home to your appointment. Medicaid does pay for it, Medicare can pay for it. These are things that sometimes patients don't know. They don't know that they have those resources. And organizations like us say, yes, we're going to let you use, we're going to make you maximize that Medicaid and that Medicare and your private insurance. There are so many little nuances that the insurance companies aren't going to tell you about. And we want you to utilize those resources that are available to you.
Wow, that's exactly what Isa Thomas said. The resources are there. We just need to engage the community and make sure that we're bringing awareness to them.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Davis, you've got other medical questions that we need to have answered before we lose Dr. Ryder.
I have one more medical question, and then I want to make sure that she has time to tell us about how we can increase awareness. Give us any taglines, give us any numbers that we can post up.
Yes.
None of this, in terms of risk for chronic disease and all of these disparities work if while we're away from our healthcare provider, we don't know what to do when we get home. So what education components do you have in your FQHC, or that you know of that is broadly a part of FQHC care that you can tell us about, and then your final thoughts?
So, of course, when you're with us, we, as the provider, we are providing as much education as we can, but we know that once you cross that threshold, it's all gone, right? It's all gone. Everything I told you, everything I warned you about, it's all gone. It's gone in the wind. So we try to send you home with, of course, as much education as we possibly can. It is about on a second to third grade level so that everybody can understand. And it's always, always, always going to be in your preferred language. We are lucky that our EMR system and all the resources that we do have available do provide you with that educational resource. But the wonderful thing about this FQHC and all the other FQHCs I've ever been affiliated with, and this is my third FQHC that I've worked with in my career, we always have 24-hour access. And believe it or not, that is a HRSA mandate that we have access for our patients 24/7, 365. So if there is ever a question that a patient has regarding their medications or their plan of care, we always, always, always have to have that availability for our patients. It's all about access to care. HRSA mandates that, and that is a part of our grant funding, and we have to show and prove it on a regular basis that you can pick up the phone anytime and you can get in touch with either a nurse or a provider to assist you with your care. Here at our organization, we have clinical pharmacists that assist with patients who have questions about their medications, management of their diabetes. The list goes on, and fortunately, that's something that's spreading throughout many of the federally qualified health centers in the nation. We're utilizing everybody at the top of their license. So you're going to start seeing more and more providers, the army of providers that are available for our patients. It's not just the doctor, the nurse practitioner, and the PA. We're utilizing nurses at the top of their license, pharmacists, LCSWs, the licensed clinical social workers, licensed mental health counselors. Anybody and everybody that can provide care to our patients, wow. We're using you at the top of your license.
I like that, at the top of your license. So I am a certified diabetes care and education specialist. Yes. That part out there. But final thoughts on participating in our show and access in Manatee County, in Hillsborough County. What would you leave our listeners with in terms of access? Yes. These FQHCs and what they can do on a proactive level to improve the state of chronic disease amongst our people?
The biggest message is that we are here for you. We do not exist without you. Our doors are open for you. And again, we will never, ever, ever turn anyone away due to inability to pay. You just walk in and we're going to take care of you. And it's from the financial to the medical to the pharmaceutical to the mental health. We are here to take care of you. And our goal now is to really put it out there. And we don't, we're primary care. We are primary care. There are the labels of FQHC and private. We're primary care, and we are a primary care medical home. And what we as MCR Health want you to realize that we're here to take care of you the whole patient, not the symptom, the whole patient. We are your primary care medical home.
Oh, well said. Well said. Thank you so much. Listen, I wanted to, we had, and you may know, I know it's a colleague of Dr. Davis's, but Dr. Dexter Frederick, who runs the program, founder of the program, BEST, the Best Academy. And in his humble beginnings, he recognized a need when he was a youth and decided that he would use his career in medicine to be able to assist the next generation and find our next doctors and nurses and medical personnel. So hearing you talk so passionately about your organization, anything that you all are doing to tap into preparing that next generation for medicine?
We work closely with the local medical schools and residencies, even, and of course the nursing programs, because I can only do so much if I don't have the support on the floor. I'm kind of powerless. So we also work very closely with the local nursing schools.
Well, that's good news. And let me take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your busy schedule with us. But it was important. And our format is so important for our community to see people like us who are doing things that can make a difference in our community. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Davis?
I absolutely agree. Representation matters.
Well, there was a word that she used, a term, and I love this term with her organization, and it's Care Connect. Just that meaning said so much, that you all thought of, outside of patient care, you've got to care to connect the people with the right resources, and you're making these resources available. Well, we want to care connect with you as well, which is why we wanted you to come on to the show and share with our radio listening audience what it is that you do and what information you can share with the community in taking care of the patient. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much. You've certainly enlightened me about NCR Health, and I appreciate that. And I understand what you did with Tampa Family Health, and now you're on a bigger scale with a bigger organization. So kudos to you. Please stay in touch with us if you need us to be able, if you need to be able to come back on the show and talk about other programs that you have, because we didn't get our full hour with you.
It's okay.
We extend the invitation to you.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And to all of our radio listening audience, we say thank you for taking your lunch break with us. To our corporate partner, Moffitt Cancer Center. Dr. Davis, what would you add about Moffitt and how they've been able to support us and help us and doing some things in the community for us?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Dr. Ryder. Moffitt Cancer Center has been just a tremendous resource to us in helping to get the word out about the services they provide to not just minorities, but to all people, to increase awareness of their risk for cancer, increase the awareness of the resource that's right here in our backyard in the Tampa Bay area, our risk for colon cancer, our risk for breast cancer, the resources there for screening, etc. Also, Moffitt has done an amazing job of partnering with particularly minority organizations to increase awareness and increase in the amount of minority representation in their advertisements, so that as their message goes out, we can identify, we as African Americans can identify with said experiences. Many times we have risks that are right before us or in our families. And if we don't get screened, if we don't have those conversations, we have health problems that if found earlier, we would have had many more less invasive options for care and management, and even opportunities for survival when, a demise just didn't have to take place if we just had, learned about a condition sooner. Moffitt has been tremendous in helping us with that. And that said, in our culmination of Minority Health Awareness Month acknowledgement here with Let's Talk Business, we brought to you Isa Antonio Thomas with Solida's House, because we understand that there is a connection between that bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of physical needs and safety and security that absolutely have to be taken care of before you can even consider scheduling a doctor's appointment or where to go in our local FQHC, as Dr. Ryder indicated.
Well, and we're going to just have to take that as your final thought. I did want you to know that Dr. Green has reached out to us. There's a program that Moffitt is putting on, Grand Rounds, Big Tobacco and Cancer Health Disparities. in the Black community. Shout out to Moffitt, to both our guests, Ms. Thomas and Dr. Ryder. We say thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Business with SJC and my co-host, Dr. Davis. This show is a wrap.